The mockery begins. The vast expanse of the galaxy had never seen a more arrogant group than the alien leaders gathered around the table. These beings, from different corners of the cosmos, looked down upon humanity with a sense of superiority. They had watched Earth grow and develop for centuries, and now, as their fleets gathered for a strategic meeting, their gaze fell upon humanity's fleet, considered to be nothing more than ancient relics from a forgotten era. Across the room, alien generals and tacticians laughed. The humans, they believed, stood no chance. Earth's warships were slow, old, and outdated, relics of an era that had long since passed. There was no reason to fear these ships, no reason at all. One of the alien generals, a towering figure with purple skin and multiple glowing eyes, slammed his fist onto the table. "Do they truly think their relic fleet can stand against us?" His voice echoed throughout the room, rich with contempt. "We've destroyed countless civilizations far more advanced than their primitive humans. Their ships, mere scraps of forgotten metal." The room burst into laughter. The alien leaders had come to a simple conclusion. Humanity's fleet was not a threat. It was a joke. The humans' warships had been abandoned in the depths of space for decades, hidden, isolated, forgotten by those who once trusted in their might. The world had moved on, and so had the galaxy. The humans themselves were seen as weak, their defenses obsolete, their technology outdated. "I wonder," the alien general continued, his tone mocking, "how long it will take before we crush their defenses and show them the true meaning of power. A few blasts, and they'll be nothing more than cosmic dust." His words stung, but none of the other alien leaders cared. To them, the humans had always been insignificant. Their fleet, a collection of rusty old ships, held no mystery. They had been watching Earth for years, and never once had they seen anything that made them reconsider their opinion. As they discussed the galaxy's future, no one mentioned Earth as a serious threat. The humans were insignificant in the grand scale of the universe. There were far more powerful species, far more advanced civilizations, and in the eyes of the aliens, Earth was a backwater planet whose days were numbered. Yet, far from the sight of the alien generals, something was happening on Earth's warships. The old ships, left dormant for so long, were beginning to stir. The camera panned across the once quiet and darkened interior of one of Earth's most formidable warships. Massive engines, long since powered down, began to hum with life. Control panels flickered with strange lights, and AI systems, once dormant, began to pulse with new activity. The first signs of a wake-up call. Slowly, Earth's fleet was coming back to life. But the aliens remained oblivious. They were busy planning, confident that nothing could stand in their way. Even if Earth's fleet somehow did awaken, it was nothing more than a simple relic. An old collection of warships, too slow, too outdated to make any real difference. "Perhaps we should send a greeting fleet," said another alien leader, his voice tinged with amusement, "just to ensure that they understand the fate that awaits them." The others nodded in agreement. The idea of sending a small fleet to remind Earth of its place in the galaxy was a way to add insult to injury. They would send a warning, a show of force. A demonstration of what awaited the humans when they foolishly tried to challenge the might of the Galactic Empire. Meanwhile, deep within the heart of Earth's fleet, the AI systems and old warships continued to hum. Slowly, more and more systems flickered to life, and the ships began to awaken. Outside, in the cold void of space, Earth's defenses remained hidden. They had been forgotten for so long, resting silently beneath the surface, their power just waiting to be unleashed. For years, no one had given these ships a second thought. But now, as the galaxies turned, as the alien generals plotted their conquest, Earth's warships stirred from their slumber. The camera zoomed in on a long-abandoned command center. Dust settled on the old consoles, but the strange hum of reactivation echoed in the corridors. A low, mechanical sound filled the air as old systems began to shift into place, and weapons systems activated with a soft, menacing growl. The aliens couldn't have known. They were too busy mocking, too busy laughing. They couldn't have possibly predicted that something was stirring on Earth. The warships that had once been forgotten, left behind in a state of oblivion, were returning. They weren't slow, they weren't weak. They were waking up, and they were ready. But for now, that secret would remain hidden. The aliens continued their mockery, unaware of the storm that was brewing far beneath their noses. As Earth's fleet came to life in the cold depths of space, the alien forces remained confident. Nothing in the galaxy could stop them. Or so they thought. The Awakening. As the alien forces laughed and mocked Earth's so-called relic fleet, deep within the quiet, abandoned ships, something unexpected was happening. One by one, Earth's dormant warships began to power up. A faint hum echoed through their cold, empty hulls as ancient engines stirred to life. In the forgotten corridors of one of the largest ships, the Vigilance, a small flicker of light blinked on an old control panel. A dusty display screen, untouched for decades, began to glow. The once dead systems began to rouse from their slumber. At first, it was just one ship. The Vigilance, a massive warship designed for intergalactic combat, had long since been left behind, a mere memory of Earth's once mighty naval force. Its weapons systems had been powered down for years, but now they hummed to life. A low, mechanical whir rang through the ship's vast corridors as the long-forgotten AI systems stirred into action. The ship's mainframe began to process data. Its sensors scanned the empty space outside its hull, detecting not just debris or dust, but strange new readings. Alien ships moving through the void, heading towards Earth. Slowly, the Vigilance began to wake, its weapon systems coming online with a chilling mechanical grind. Meanwhile, on Earth, in a secret, highly secure military base, scientists and engineers monitored the progress. The fleet's reactivation had been a project years in the making. Earth's governments had kept the warships hidden, well aware that they needed to preserve their power for the right moment. They had long prepared for the day when humanity would face the threat of the galaxy's most advanced alien forces. The moment had come, and Earth's hidden power was rising. Across the solar system, Earth's fleet was coming back to life, with the Vigilance leading the charge. The giant ship's engines roared, shaking the walls as it prepared to leave its deep space dock and take to the stars once more. On board, Commander Richard Harris, a veteran of many galactic skirmishes, stood at the helm, watching as the monitors flickered to life. He had long believed that Earth's warships were abandoned, relics of a forgotten past. But now, seeing the power once again surging through the ship's systems, his heart raced with renewed hope. The crew members of the Vigilance were quickly coming to their stations, brushing off the dust of years, their minds filled with the purpose they had longed for. For the first time in years, their mission was clear: defend Earth and defeat the invaders. Status report. Commander Harris barked, his voice steady but filled with anticipation. Everything is online. Commander, weapons systems, shields, propulsion. We're ready to launch, came the response from Lieutenant Drayton, his hands flying over the controls. He looked up, his face filled with both disbelief and excitement. We've reactivated the entire fleet. It's happening. As the Vigilance powered up and prepared to leave Earth's atmosphere, Commander Harris felt the weight of the moment. The galaxy thought Earth was weak. The aliens thought they had nothing to fear. But now, Earth was rising, and the alien generals, laughing and planning their victory, had no idea what was coming. Out in deep space, the alien fleet, still unaware of the coming storm, continued to move towards Earth. Their commanders, having underestimated humanity for so long, were confident in their impending victory. They sent out small reconnaissance ships, mocking humanity's old defenses. But Earth's ships were not what they appeared to be. Beneath their aging exteriors, they carried unimaginable power. And now, that power was waking. The first wave of alien ships entered Earth's solar system, their sleek, advanced designs gliding effortlessly through space. They had no reason to fear. Humanity's ancient fleet was nothing more than a myth to them, a joke. The alien generals had long since dismissed the possibility of human resistance. "Maintain formation," Harris ordered. "We've won no victory yet. Stay sharp." Just as the alien fleet began to retreat, another wave of enemy reinforcements appeared. This time, however, they were not alone. A massive mothership, the size of a city, emerged from the depths of space. Its presence dwarfed everything else around it. Its sheer size alone seemed to promise overwhelming firepower. "Commander, we have a problem," Lieutenant Drayton shouted. "That mothership is heading straight for us." Harris watched as the massive vessel's weapon systems powered up, lighting up the dark void of space with ominous glows. The battle was far from over, and now, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The alien fleet was down, but the war was not won. The massive mothership was their final weapon, and it was coming for them with all the fury of an empire unwilling to lose. "Ready all weapons," Harris said, his voice steady, but filled with the urgency of the moment. "This is it. People, we finish this now." The Vigilance and the rest of Earth's fleet locked onto the mothership, preparing for the most critical strike yet. Humanity had fought tooth and nail to reclaim their place in the galaxy, and now they had one final shot at victory. The battle for Earth was far from over, but the next strike would determine everything. The battle begins. The battle was upon them, faster than anyone could have anticipated. Commander Richard Harris stood at the helm of the Vigilance, gripping the control panel with both hands. The deep hum of the ship's engines resonated through the command deck as the vessel glided into position for its next strike. He could feel the tension in the air as the alien fleet approached. His crew was ready, but the stakes were high, and there was no room for error. The Vigilance had fired the first shot, and the alien ships had fallen, one by one, to its relentless barrage. The shock was palpable across the enemy fleet. The alien generals, who had once laughed at the idea of an ancient fleet of human warships, now realized that they had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated Earth's resolve, and the power that had been lying dormant for years. As the alien ships reeled from the unexpected strikes, chaos spread across their lines. The humans were no longer the underdogs. The tide had turned in an instant. From the bridge of the Vigilance, Harris surveyed the battlefield. The stars stretched out in all directions, their light dimmed by the explosions of the alien ships. The once pristine void of space now sparkled with the fiery wreckage of enemy vessels. The alien forces scrambled to regroup, their communications channels filled with frantic orders. The aliens had always been confident in their superiority. Their sleek ships, their advanced weaponry, everything about their fleet exuded an air of invincibility. But now, faced with the unexpected might of Earth's warships, they were anything but confident. "Commander, more enemy ships incoming from the left," Lieutenant Drayton called out. "They're trying to flank us." Harris' pulse quickened as he issued the order. "Prepare the port side weapons. Engage them immediately. No mercy." The Vigilance fired again. This time, it wasn't just one shot. It was a barrage of laser beams, followed by a volley of missiles that streaked toward the enemy fleet. Alien ships, caught in the line of fire, exploded in fiery balls of light, their once pristine hulls torn apart by the onslaught. Harris watched, his face stoic, but his eyes filled with determination. The battle was just beginning, and there was no going back now. Every shot counted. Every move could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. The aliens tried to fight back. Their advanced weapon systems unleashed their own barrage of firepower, but the Earth fleet had the advantage now. The Vigilance's shields held strong against the incoming fire, deflecting the blasts with ease. Earth's warships, though old and relic as the aliens had called them, were equipped with technology that had been preserved and enhanced over the years. "Shields holding steady, Commander," Lieutenant Drayton reported, his voice calm despite the chaos unfolding around them. We're taking them down, one by one. Harris nodded. The fight was far from over, but Earth's fleet was proving itself more than capable. The once feared alien forces were being pushed back, their arrogance now their greatest weakness. Meanwhile, on the alien command ship, the situation was rapidly deteriorating. General Zoreth, leader of the alien fleet, watched in disbelief as the human warships continued to strike with relentless precision. He had expected to crush them within moments, but the humans were proving to be far more resilient than he had ever imagined. Retreat, Zoreth barked. We must regroup. The humans. Their fleet is more advanced than we thought. They were holding back. But it was too late. The alien ships, once full of bravado, were now scattering across the battlefield in disarray. Earth's warships were relentless, striking with deadly accuracy, each hit shattering the enemy's lines. Back aboard the Vigilance, Commander Harris could feel the tide of battle turning in their favor. The sense of victory was within reach, but he knew they couldn't let up. Not yet. The alien generals were desperate, and desperation often led to dangerous, unpredictable moves. Maintain formation, Harris ordered. We've won no victory yet. Stay sharp. Just as the alien fleet began to retreat, another wave of enemy reinforcements appeared. This time, however, they were not alone. A massive mothership, the size of a city, emerged from the depths of space. Its presence dwarfed everything else around it. Its sheer size alone seemed to promise overwhelming firepower. Commander, we have a problem, Lieutenant Drayton shouted. That mothership is heading straight for us. Harris watched as the massive vessel's weapon systems powered up, lighting up the dark void of space with ominous glows. The battle was far from over, and now humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The alien fleet was down, but the war was not won. The massive mothership was their final weapon, and it was coming for them with all the fury of an empire unwilling to lose. Ready all weapons, Harris said, his voice steady, but filled with the urgency of the moment. This is it, people. We finish this now. The Vigilance and the rest of Earth's fleet locked onto the mothership, preparing for the most critical strike yet. Humanity had fought tooth and nail to reclaim their place in the galaxy, and now they had one final shot at victory. The battle for Earth was far from over, but the next strike would determine everything. The first volley of fire hit the mothership's shields, causing ripples of energy to pulse across its surface. For a moment, it seemed like the ship would withstand the attack. But then, the central reactor flared, a bright pulse of energy escaping from the heart of the ship. The reactor was weak, far more vulnerable than they had anticipated. It was taking damage. Keep firing, Harris shouted, his voice hoarse with urgency. The Vigilance's weapons continued to rain down on the reactor, each shot eating away at its defenses. The alien mothership retaliated with another devastating blast, but this time it was too late. The combined firepower of Earth's fleet was overwhelming, and slowly the mothership's shields began to flicker and fail. Harris could feel the tension in his chest as he watched the countdown on the control panel, every second stretching out like an eternity. Reactor at 80% damage. Lieutenant Drayton called out. It's weakening, Commander. Harris exhaled, his fingers white as they gripped the control panel. We can do this. Everyone, hold steady. Then, with a deafening roar, the central reactor exploded. The shockwave rippled through space, a bright burst of light that blinded everyone on the bridge. The alien mothership, once so proud and intimidating, began to crumble. Its massive hull shuddered as the explosion tore through its core, ripping it apart from the inside. The alien fleet, already in disarray, began to fall apart completely. Impact confirmed, Drayton shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. The mothership is gone. Commander Harris didn't move. For a moment, it was as if time had frozen. The sound of explosions and the roar of the battle subsided as the human fleet watched in awe. The once impenetrable mothership, the last hope of the alien empire, was now a destroyed husk floating aimlessly in space. But even in victory, Harris knew they weren't done yet. The alien fleet had been devastated, but a few ships remained. The generals, still reeling from their defeat, would surely fight to the bitter end. "Don't let up," Harris barked, snapping back into focus. "Finish them off. We're not done yet." Earth's warships charged forward once again, their weapons still blazing. The remaining alien ships, without their flagship and leadership, were no match for the relentless assault. One by one they fell, their final resistance nothing more than a desperate and futile attempt to salvage their shattered fleet. Within minutes, the battle was over. The battlefield was littered with wreckage. The stars now calm again. Commander Harris leaned back in his chair, a sense of relief washing over him. His fleet had done what was once thought impossible. They had defeated the alien empire and ensured that Earth's place in the galaxy was solidified. Harris allowed himself a moment to breathe. But there was no time for celebration. The war was over for now, but the galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, and Earth's victory had sent a clear message to the stars. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The aftermath. The battlefield was silent. The once chaotic void had transformed into a haunting calm as the remnants of the alien fleet floated lifelessly in space. The only sounds that broke the stillness were the beeps and hums from the Vigilance's control panels, indicating the status of the ship after the fierce battle. Commander Harris stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the empty expanse. His heart was still racing from the intensity of the battle, but there was no time to rest. The fleet had been victorious, yes, but at what cost? Many lives had been lost. Ships had been damaged beyond repair. Earth's victory had come at a price, and it was a price they would have to live with. "Commander, we finished off the last of their fleet," Lieutenant Drayton said, his voice soft, but with a note of satisfaction. "The battle is over. The enemy has been destroyed." Harris nodded, though his expression remained grim. "Yes, but we need to be sure. The galaxy is watching, and I'm sure there are other forces out there who won't be so quick to underestimate us." Drayton looked out of the viewports, his gaze fixed on the debris fields that now littered space. The alien mothership had been obliterated, its once proud structure broken into pieces. The remnants of the enemy fleet were scattered, nothing but shattered vessels and charred wreckage. Humanity had just made its mark on the galaxy, a mark that would not be easily forgotten. "Message from Earth Command, Commander," Lieutenant Drayton continued, snapping Harris out of his thoughts. "Put it through," Harris ordered, walking toward the communication console. A holographic projection flickered to life, displaying the face of General Westfield, the commanding officer of Earth's Central Military Operations. His stern expression softened as he spoke. "Commander Harris, we've received word of your victory," General Westfield said. "I want to commend you and your crew for your bravery and skill. This battle will go down in history as the moment humanity proved its strength." Harris bowed his head slightly, though he didn't let his guard down. "Thank you, sir. But the job isn't finished yet. There's still the matter of the remaining alien forces. They've lost their fleet, but they may regroup. We need to be prepared." Westfield's expression hardened. "You're right. The galaxy has taken notice of Earth's power. We'll continue to monitor the situation. You and your fleet have earned a well-deserved rest, Commander. But stay vigilant. The war may be over for now, but the consequences of this battle will ripple across the stars." "I understand, sir," Harris replied, his voice firm. "We'll remain on alert." As the transmission ended, Harris turned to face his crew. The tension was still palpable on the bridge, though there was a sense of pride in the air. They had faced the impossible and come out victorious. But even so, Harris knew they couldn't afford to celebrate just yet. "Prepare for a status update on the fleet," Harris said, his voice carrying the weight of a leader who knew the fight wasn't over. "I want damage reports on every ship, and make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. We're not out of the woods." The crew nodded and immediately went to work, each person focused on their task. As the minutes passed, the reports began to trickle in. The Vigilance had sustained heavy damage, but it was still operational. The other ships in the fleet had fared similarly, with some requiring extensive repairs while others were too far gone to be salvaged. Harris took in the information quietly, running through the logistics in his mind. There would be repairs, resupplies, and the need to maintain readiness for the uncertain future. After a few moments, Drayton spoke again. "Commander, we've also detected an encrypted signal coming from deep in the galaxy. It could be another enemy fleet or possibly a distress call. What should we do?" Harris furrowed his brow. "A distress call? From whom?" "We're not sure yet. The signal is scrambled, but we're working on decoding it." The hairs on the back of Harris' neck stood up. A distress signal so far from Earth could mean many things, some good, but many others far worse. This wasn't the time for complacency. The aliens had underestimated humanity once, but that wasn't the only threat lurking in the galaxy. There were bound to be other civilizations watching their every move. "Keep working on it. I want to know who sent that signal, and I want to know now," Harris ordered. The crew moved quickly, but Harris' thoughts were already drifting. Could this be another faction preparing to strike? Or perhaps it was a plea for help from a race caught in the midst of the conflict. Whatever the case, the situation was far from resolved. The galaxy was vast, and humanity had just made a dangerous enemy of the alien empire. As the Vigilance's crew scrambled to decrypt the signal, Harris felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders once again. The victory was significant, yes, but it was only the beginning. They had proven that humanity was not to be underestimated, but the real challenge was yet to come. "Commander," Drayton called out, snapping Harris back to attention. "We've got the source of the signal. It's coming from a sector we haven't explored before." Harris' eyes narrowed. This was the moment of truth. "Set a course. We're going to investigate." As the Vigilance slowly turned toward the unknown sector, Harris couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of something much bigger than they had anticipated. The signal's origin. The Vigilance hummed quietly as it adjusted its course, heading toward the uncharted sector where the mysterious distress signal had originated. The unknown stretched out before them, an endless void filled with potential threats and untold secrets. Commander Harris stood at the bridge, watching the stars twinkle beyond the viewport. Despite the recent victory, a feeling of unease gnawed at him. "All systems are stable, Commander," Lieutenant Drayton said from his station, his fingers dancing across the console. "We should reach the signal's origin in approximately 2 hours." "Good," Harris replied, his voice steady, though the worry was clear in his eyes. "Keep monitoring the signal. If anything changes, I want to know immediately." Drayton nodded, focused on the console before him, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Commander, we've successfully decoded the first part of the signal," Lieutenant Hayes, the communications officer, called from across the bridge. "It's a distress call, but the message, it's strange. It's not from any known species. It almost seems human." Harris turned sharply. His heart skipped a beat. "Human? Are you sure?" "Yes, sir," Hayes confirmed, her voice tense. "It's faint, but it's definitely human. There's no mistaking it." The room fell silent. Harris stared out into the darkness, his mind racing. How could there be a human distress signal so far from Earth? The notion of a rogue human fleet, stranded in the depths of space, was troubling at best. At worst, it could mean something far more sinister was unfolding. "Any other ships in the area?" Harris asked, his voice steady despite the mounting tension. "We don't want to walk into a trap." Drayton quickly checked the sensors. "Nothing on long-range scans, Commander. Just us." "Keep it that way," Harris muttered, more to himself than to anyone in particular. The Vigilance continued its slow journey through space. The silence was almost unbearable, broken only by the occasional hum of machinery or the clattering of keyboards as crew members continued their work. Harris was lost in thought. He knew that whatever they were about to encounter, it would not be easy. If humans were truly out there, stranded in some distant part of the galaxy, it could be a sign of something larger. Perhaps there was a new threat lurking in the shadows, one that had been underestimated by the rest of the galaxy, just like the alien fleet had. "Commander, we're closing in on the source of the signal," Drayton announced, his voice a little more urgent now. "It's coming from a small planet. We've never mapped this sector before." "Plot a course," Harris ordered. "We're going in." The Vigilance altered its course, heading straight toward the unknown planet. As the ship neared the planet's orbit, Harris could see it more clearly on the view screen. It was a small, rocky world, uninhabited by any known civilization. There were no signs of advanced technology, no bustling cities or high-tech ships in orbit. It appeared completely desolate, except for the distress signal that was still transmitting. "Send out a probe," Harris instructed. "We need to confirm if anyone is on the surface." "Aye, Commander," Drayton replied. He worked quickly, and moments later, a small, sleek probe was ejected from the Vigilance. It streaked across the sky and descended toward the planet below. The crew watched the images that the probe transmitted back to the ship. The surface was barren, covered in jagged rocks and swirling clouds. There were no signs of life or any structures of note. "Nothing," Lieutenant Drayton said, his voice tight with disappointment. "There's nothing down there but barren land. No signs of civilization." "Then why the distress signal?" Harris asked, almost to himself. "Why human?" Hayes spoke up from her station. "I'm getting something else, sir. The signal is stronger now. It's like it's coming from beneath the surface." Beneath the surface, Harris' instincts kicked in. This was no ordinary distress call. Someone or something had gone to great lengths to hide. But why? "Prepare a team," Harris said, his voice resolute. "We're going down there. Something is wrong, and I want answers." Within the hour, a small group of elite Marines, along with Harris, were ready for deployment. The Vigilance had landed at the edge of a vast canyon that led deep into the heart of the planet. The team was equipped with the best weapons and gear available, but Harris knew they'd need more than just firepower to navigate whatever lay beneath the surface. The team boarded a shuttle, the air thick with tension. Harris took a deep breath as he sat, his mind racing. They were about to venture into the unknown, but they had no choice. The signal was human, and wherever it came from, it had to be investigated. As the shuttle descended toward the canyon, Harris could barely shake the feeling that something was watching them. Every turn, every moment felt wrong. The planet's surface was eerily still. There was no movement, no wildlife, no sounds of nature. It was as if the planet was waiting for something. The shuttle's engines roared as they landed on a flat section of rock. The doors opened, and Harris led the team out, scanning the area for any signs of movement. The atmosphere was thick, the air dry and dusty. Their footsteps echoed in the silence as they moved cautiously toward the entrance to the subterranean complex that the signal was originating from. And then, just as Harris reached the entrance, a low hum vibrated beneath his feet. The signal had become a roar in his mind, a pulse that resonated deep within his chest. "Stay alert," Harris ordered, his voice tight. "We're not alone down here." The doors to the underground complex opened with a hiss, and as they stepped inside, the darkness swallowed them whole. The hidden truth. The atmosphere in the dark, underground complex was thick with tension. The team moved in formation, their footsteps muffled by the cool stone floor. Commander Harris led the group, his senses on high alert. The sound of their breathing echoed in the eerie silence, broken only by the occasional hum of distant machinery that seemed to be coming to life. "Stay close," Harris ordered, his voice low and steady. He signaled for the team to halt and motioned toward the corridor ahead. The walls were lined with strange, ancient-looking panels, and dim lights flickered overhead. There was an unsettling feeling about the place, as though they were trespassing in a forgotten world. Lieutenant Drayton, who was in charge of the technical aspects of the mission, was the first to speak up. "This place, it's unlike anything we've ever seen," he muttered, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "These panels are advanced, but they look ancient. It's as if they've been here for millennia." "Keep your eyes on the prize, Drayton," Harris responded. "We're here to find out who sent the signal and why. Focus." The team advanced cautiously, their weapons ready, as they made their way through the maze-like hallways of the facility. The farther they went, the more the air felt charged, almost as if something was stirring in the depths. It didn't take long for them to find the source of the signal. In the heart of the complex, they discovered a massive chamber, bathed in a soft, eerie glow. At its center stood a large pedestal, and on it, a peculiar device hummed with energy. The signal was emanating from it, growing louder as they approached. Drayton stepped forward, his fingers brushing against the console. "I think this is it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "The source of the signal." Harris approached cautiously. "Can you access it?" Drayton nodded. "It's locked, but I can try to bypass the system." As Drayton worked, the rest of the team spread out, keeping watch over the chamber. Something felt wrong, but Harris couldn't put his finger on it. The place was too quiet, too still. And the device, it seemed too perfect, too deliberate. Then, the silence was broken by a sudden sound, a low rumble that shook the ground beneath their feet. The team immediately went on high alert, their weapons raised. "Everyone, stay sharp," Harris barked. What was that? The rumbling grew louder, reverberating through the walls. It was followed by a series of mechanical noises, as if the entire complex was awakening. The dim lights above flickered, and then, without warning, the ground beneath them trembled violently. "Commander," Drayton shouted, looking up from the console in alarm. "Something's wrong. The system is trying to activate something." Before anyone could react, a blinding light erupted from the pedestal, enveloping the room in a searing glow. Harris shielded his eyes, his instincts kicking in as he ducked behind a pillar, motioning for the others to take cover. In the distance, a deep metallic voice boomed, resonating through the chamber. "You should not have come here." The voice was cold, calculating, and somehow familiar. Harris' heart raced. This wasn't just a forgotten outpost. This was something far more dangerous. The voice, whoever it was, knew they were there. "Who are you?" Harris called out, his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. "What do you want with humanity?" The voice echoed in response, growing louder and more menacing. "You have awakened us, and now you will pay the price." The pedestal's glow intensified, and suddenly, the walls of the chamber began to shift. The ground cracked open, revealing massive, ancient machines buried beneath the surface. They were dormant no longer. "Get back," Harris shouted. The team scrambled, trying to retreat as enormous mechanical arms shot out from the ground, tearing apart the chamber with frightening speed. "We need to get out of here now," Drayton screamed, frantically working to disable the pedestal. But it was too late. The entire complex was alive, and it had no intention of letting them leave. The machines rose higher, their metal limbs stretching into the sky, as the eerie voice boomed again. "The reckoning has begun." In that moment, Harris understood. This wasn't just a simple distress signal. The humans who had sent it had unearthed something far worse than they had ever imagined. A machine army from an ancient civilization, waiting for the right moment to awaken. And now, that moment had arrived. "Retreat," Harris yelled. "We're not equipped for this. Get back to the shuttle." As the team turned to flee, the mechanical monstrosities advanced. The hum of their machinery grew louder, reverberating through the entire structure. The walls cracked, debris falling all around them as they ran. "Move, move, move," Harris urged, leading the way toward the exit. But the sound of pursuing machines grew closer and closer, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to tremble with each step they took. They burst out of the entrance just in time, barely dodging the massive machine arms that struck the ground behind them. The shuttle was waiting, its engines already warming up, ready for takeoff. As the team scrambled aboard, Harris's eyes swept over the surface of the planet one last time. The entire landscape seemed to pulse with energy, as if it were alive, waiting for them to make the wrong move. "We're not safe yet," Harris muttered under his breath as the shuttle shot into the sky, leaving the hellish planet behind. But the feeling of dread lingered. The machines were awake, and now there would be no stopping them.